Jane E.M for Future Legend TV, and today I'm here to interview established multi-platform artist Russell C. Brennan about his new book, Music Business Bastards, or How to Do Well in the Music Business Without Getting Ripped Off. And here's the very book. Many famous musicians, such as Bill Wyman, Stones of course, Adam Ant, and Bill Drummond of KLF, have said it's the essential reading for any music artist. Before we talk about the new updated version of the book, I'd just like to talk a little bit about the old version. What made you write the book in the first place?
Well, when I first started in the industry, I was in management, and I kept meeting bands that were green as grass, and the thing was, I just thought, well, they need help, so rather than keep advising them all the time, I thought I'd write this little pamphlet, How to Do Well in the Music Business, and I kept seeing them get ripped off, so I added that bit to it. So met a guy, Martin Breeze, and he decided to publish it. That was the long and the short of it, but that's why I wrote the original book, because people think they know it all, to be honest, and they don't.
So why an update now, 20 years on?
Well, the music industry has changed beyond all recognition because of the internet, and so therefore, although a lot of the things in the original book still applied, like standing out from the crowd and avoiding certain rip-offs, there's a whole new ball game of sharks out there on the internet ripping people off, and there's a new way of getting promotion now that wasn't around 20 years ago because of the internet. So it's mostly because of the internet I've updated it, and also record companies have changed the way they do business as well. So it's definitely chocker with brand new information.
Okay, with many other books out on a similar subject and the internet full of tips, why should people buy your book?
Well, I mean, a lot of the tips aren't always accurate, and a lot of the books I've read on similar subjects are written by jobbing journalists who just happen to go around asking questions to different industry people, so it's a bit of a mismatch. And I think the only way to really know the score is to have worked in the industry on all sides of it, and I'm a unique person in the fact that I've worked on all sides of the music industry. I've probably got a unique career, because I started off when I was 15 as a DJ and ended up becoming an international DJ by the time I was 18. And also I managed a record shop called Music Master, and when I managed that shop it was losing loads of money, and I turned it into a money maker, and there was queues around the block to get in, and it was the place to go to in London. So obviously I had an idea of what did the right business. Then I moved into more of the actual music business itself by managing acts, and then I also had my own record label and publishing company, and in fact my record label is popular even now. It's actually the 20th anniversary this year, and someone like Tony Wilson, who was at a Factory Record, said if there's one template for a successful indie label, it's Future Legend Records, and that's my label. And this is because, you know, he often used to joke the idea of a successful record business record company is to still be in business, although that's kind of one point. We're actually known for groundbreaking stuff like starting the cult themes trend, starting new music genres, and helping to break lots of new acts. And so I knew what I was doing with that from a label point of view. Also, I drifted into photography by accident when I used to photograph my ex-wife, who was a pop star, Ellen Rigby, and her photos were so popular I got other people asking me to take photos.
Look at me, your desire. I got a life for you, don't play with fire. Just listen out, I'll send you higher.
Give me an example of how you could save someone money.
Okay, I'll give you, there's many examples in the book of how to save money, from getting videos done on next to nothing, etc. But I'm going to give you one tip that's not actually in the book. And this is about, I met a record company in a band who came to me because they wanted to get their own CD made. And what happened was, I said to them, first thing you should do is register for VAT. They both balked at the thought. VAT? I don't want to have nothing to do with the tax man. But what they didn't realise is they could have made a lot of money, because although you're duty bound to register for VAT at a certain level, you can actually register for VAT when you start up a business when you're earning zero. And the reason it's worthwhile is because when you start off, you're paying out for manufacturing, promotion, a manner of things, and they've all got VAT on it. And until you start earning money, you can actually claim the VAT back. So when I explained this to the record label and the bands, they said, "Oh right." The band ran away and didn't want to know about doing it, but the record label said, "All right," and they paid out a lot of money for manufacturing and promotion, and they ended up getting £600-700 back from the VAT man. And it was only later on, when they started selling CDs, that they have to actually pay the VAT man, and that comes from the actual record shop anyway. So all they're really doing is passing on the VAT to the VAT man. They're not losing money. So the record company said that was a valuable tip, and it ended up earning them, like I said, £600-800. Whereas the band, they ended up paying loads of money and never got a penny back. So that's a valuable tip on actually saving and making money right there. And it's not even in the book, so you can imagine what sort of tips are in the book if I left that one out.
One thing I did like about the book was, as well as exposing the record company rip-offs, you also exposed the internet rip-offs, so as not to lay all the blame on the music industry. Briefly, what are the internet rip-offs for music artists?
Well, there's many rip-offs for musicians on the internet. They're effectively the new record labels. Basically, most internet sites are into to make their money through advertising. So if they can give your work away for free to get their money, advertising revenue, so they can earn a fortune, they will do. So music's become somewhat worthless, and this the book really looks at this like scam of all these different internet scams, how they're exploiting artists, and that's pretty much, you know, what I mean by internet rip-offs. Okay, chapter by chapter. 360 deal. This is striking fear into the heart of most musicians, because once upon a time they just took your royalties. Now they want everything. This explains what's going on. The X Factor. This is for all the people. This book's not just for indie bands and stuff. It's for the X Factor people who want to get on, but they too are being ripped off. So it's better to know what to expect. So that's why it's worth getting the book, so you see what the real score is. Video killed radio star, internet killed the pop star. Well, everybody's getting exploited on the internet, especially musicians, and they end up not getting any money because a lot of internet companies are using their music as a lost lead, as they call it. And this explains what's going on and why you're not getting paid. Does it pay to be social? Well, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, it's all kind of a lot more hard work than you think, and all I'd say is not all that glitters is gold, and this chapter gives you a bit more in-depth info about social networking. How to form a band, not waste any time? Well, you know, if you get the wrong people in the band, you could end up delaying your career by a year, so make sure you get the criteria right. Managers, if you get a good one, can make or break you, get you to the top. If you get a bad one, can almost ruin your career. So, important chapter. Names and images. This is one of the most important chapters in the book, because you need to stand out from the crowd, and if you've got a great name and image, you're going to go far. If you haven't, you're not going to go very far. That's all there is to it. It's not just about the music, unfortunately. How to copyright yourself and fund your album, fund your career. Well, everyone's paranoid, so everyone will want to know how to copyright their stuff for starters. As for funding your career, there's a lot of important information in this chapter about how to do that. And so it's probably worth getting a book just for that alone. How to get gigs. This gives you many different ways of getting gigs. So again, worthwhile. Songwriting. Not everyone's cut out to write songs, but that's not to say you shouldn't give it a go, because Jagger and Richards didn't write their first 5 pop singles, and then they ended up writing them and they wrote some real classics. Yet other people, they wrote a load of crap songs, didn't get anywhere because they were too proud to take on other people's songs that were really good, that could have got them somewhere. So you've got to know your limitations, and all the internets of how to write a song as well was useful in this chapter. Publishing, well, it's definitely worth getting a publishing deal because they say that's where the money's at. Record deals are the holy grail, of course. Everybody wants a record deal, but if you get a record deal, you could end up regretting it because of what happens in the clauses that they put in the contracts, and you might end up with nothing. So that's why it's important to know what to expect if you get a record deal, or give you tips on how to get one at least. Promo videos. You can get really good promo videos now done for next to nothing on a shoestring budget. There are many ways to do it, and have it competing with major record companies make really good videos. This gives you lots of insight and tips into that. The media, they can make or break you, but if they like you, you're laughing. If they don't, they could ruin your career. So know what to expect here. Indie labels. Indie labels are often more important than major labels. In fact, Adele, Lady Gaga, but you didn't know they were on indie labels, but they are. They might well be funded by the major labels, but I think they were actually on the indie label before the majors came and funded them. So it can be payoff to be in the indie label. And if you don't want to be on an indie label, you can even get your own indie label, like do it yourself. And there's a chapter all about how to form your own label, so you don't have to go cap in hand to anybody else or struggle for a record deal. So, this is vital information in there as well. Drugs, all I can say is kids, don't do it. I've seen many people fall by the wayside and ruin their career, and that's if they're still around to tell the tale. The internet is, all I say, don't believe the hype. There's a lot more to the internet than meets the eye. This gives you all the ins and outs about the internet and what's the real story. There's many more pitfalls in the music industry, and I generalise that anything that's not covered in the other chapters are covered in that chapter. Then come my conclusions. Some say my conclusions about the music business's future is a bit chilling. Well, I can say it is looking like most new bands coming out in the future are only going to be able to do music as a hobby, because they certainly won't be able to use make a living because of the way the music business is going, which is explained throughout the book as to why this is the case. So you'll need to know what's going on in regard to that. So, but I do give an alternative future as well in Back to Basics, which is the second to last chapter, and this is an alternative way to survive and make money in the music industry, even for a new band. So that's basically what's in the book. But I finally finish off the book with a very interesting article about the demise of the music business, which shows that all along from the very beginning, most people running record labels were clueless. Won't be a surprise to some people, I'm sure. But it shows how they were so clueless from the beginning, but because so much money was coming into it, they managed to survive and carry on, surviving. But they made one clueless decision too many in the end, and it started to cost them, and they stabbed themselves in the back or in the foot, whatever expression you like. And now they're on the verge of being extinct. So, that makes interesting reading for anyone interested in just the music business in general. So that's what's featured in the book, Music Business Bastards. And for less than a tenner, it's a good read, but you can learn tons, save you lots of money, save you lots of heartache, and actually make a lot of money and be successful. So what are you waiting for? Go and get the book now.